There are lots of Big Finish audios that are part of wider story arcs that also feature the Daleks. Across the main range of Big Finish monthly adventures, there have been many story arcs spanning multiple releases. These are usually trilogies, sometimes featuring multiple different Doctors, but usually starring the same Doctor and set of companions. In this video, we will be taking a look at some of the Dalek audios that have been made as part of wider story arcs in the past. Plague of the Daleks is part of the Stockbridge arc, a trilogy of audios featuring the 5th Doctor and Nyssa that take place in the village of Stockbridge at different points in time. This audio takes place in the far future, and despite featuring several references to the fate of Stockbridge in this point in time, Plague of the Daleks does not require the listener to have heard the other audios in the trilogy in order to understand the plot. Speaking of the plot, this one is somewhat of a slow burn. The Daleks themselves don't actually show up until halfway through the story, which seems pointless as their presence in the story is spoiled by the title and cover art, so there is no need to hold them back. When the Daleks do appear, it is at least with a somewhat unique plan. A small group of Daleks have been rotting underground for centuries and have recently awakened and plan to transform the population of the village into mindless zombies using a disgusting plague. An interesting aspect to this audio is that it gives Nyssa some scenes with the Daleks, which is welcome as she never faced them on screen. Despite this, Nyssa has faced the Daleks several times in audio, including the Mutant Phase, Renaissance of the Daleks, and Alien Heart Dalek Soul. This audio also features some raggedy, rusted Daleks that have deteriorated over time. Despite these unique elements, however, Plague of the Daleks is somewhat underwhelming as a Dalek story. It has its memorable moments, and the 5th Doctor and Nyssa are a great pairing as always, but it is by no means a great Dalek story. Brotherhood of the Daleks is next, and this audio is defined by its confusing plotline. The audio is allegedly set on Spiridon and features a group of Thals. However, all is not as it seems, and the Thals may not be who they say they are. This story is packed with intrigue, not least because it takes place during the brief tenure in the 6th Doctor's travels, where he is accompanied by Charlie Pollard, who joins him in the TARDIS immediately after leaving the 8th Doctor, and constantly evades any attempts by the 6th Doctor to discover who she is. This mistrust between Doctor and companion, coupled with the constant threats to the web of time, makes for an interesting dynamic that adds another angle to the densely packed narrative of Brotherhood of the Daleks. This audio definitely requires multiple listens, as there is a lot going on here. There are Daleks made from Thals, at the centre of this narrative, as well as some interesting communist allegories. The supporting cast are a strong aspect of this audio, as there are many different agendas at work, and the Doctor must discover where everyone's true allegiances lie, including that of his own companion. Overall, Brotherhood of the Daleks is a very enjoyable story that makes great use of Big Finish's excellent sound design, and while it is somewhat dependent on context from prior 6th Doctor and Charlie audios, it is definitely worth a listen or two for Dalek fans. Next up is Daleks Among Us, which is quite an unusual story as it takes place during a bizarre period of the 7th Doctor's life in which he's travelling the universe with Dr. Elizabeth Klein, a Nazi from an alternate universe. The Doctor tries to get Klein to change her views, but she constantly challenges him, making for a very unique relationship between the two. The pair are also accompanied by Will Arrowsmith, a naive young unit science officer who helps diffuse a lot of the tension. The premise of this audio sounds interesting, a planet in which the Daleks previously invaded that now lives in peace but forbids any mention of the Daleks. However, this is only one aspect of the story, which branches out into many storylines, most of which feature elements that require context from previous audios, meaning there is a lot of prior listening required. Almost the entirety of Klein's arc, in fact, in order to fully understand Daleks Among Us. This audio is packed, as it explains Klein's backstory, features a Dalek plot in which Davros makes an appearance, and concludes an era for the 7th Doctor. Audios like Daleks Among Us illustrate why Big Finish found it necessary to move from monthly individual releases to box sets. As a Dalek story, there are not many memorable moments in Daleks Among Us, as the audio is so convoluted that they get somewhat lost in the mix. The timeline status of this audio is also in question, as it features Davros from After Remembrance of the Daleks appearing to contradict the next audio, Terra Firma. This is the first audio story of the post-Divergent Universe arc era of the 8th Doctor's timeline. During the Divergent Universe arc, the 8th Doctor and Charlie were lost in another universe after the events of Zagreus, and they encounter Keres during their travels outside the universe who accompanies them back to the Doctor's universe. Terra Firma picks up right as the Doctor, Charlie and Keres get back, but Davros and the Daleks are waiting for them, eager to take revenge on the Doctor for the destruction of Skara in Remembrance of the Daleks. This audio contains a lot of bizarre plot revelations for the 8th Doctor that I won't go into here for reasons of spoilers, but it is somewhat dependent on prior context of the 8th Doctor's era, specifically his early adventures with Charlie. Nonetheless, it is a memorable and interesting Dalek story, which depicts Davros as fighting an internal battle between himself and his Dalek Emperor personality, which is taking on a mind of its own. Terra Firma is one of the most exciting audios for Dalek fans, as it depicts the critical reunion between the Doctor and Davros after the events of Remembrance of the Daleks. The 8th Doctor gets to argue the case for destroying Skaro, and Davros gets an opportunity to get revenge. Overall, Terra Firma has some of the best Doctor-Davros interactions of any Big Finish audio, and both Paul McGann and Terry Molloy are on top form. Charlie also gets to encounter the Daleks again after a lacklustre first encounter with them in the time of the Daleks, and this story really illustrates how much she has developed as a character, as she shows her increased experience and tenacity in this story compared to constantly getting captured, escaping and getting captured again when she first met the Daleks. Terra Firma is a perfect example of how to use the Daleks to effectively round off a story arc with a climactic, impactful finale. The Daleks are the perfect villain for raising the stakes as high as they will go, and that is exactly what you want for a finale to a story arc spanning several adventures across time and space. Overall, the ranking of these audios is clear. Terra Firma takes the top spot, followed by Brotherhood of the Daleks. Plague of the Daleks and Daleks Among Us are at a similar ranking, as neither story utilises the Daleks effectively for their respective story arcs, but Plague of the Daleks is the more enjoyable of the two, while Daleks Among Us is only really enjoyable for fans of the Klein arc. What do you think? What other Dalek stories can you think of that play a pivotal role in the story arc, and why? Let me know in the comments below.